Sonic Boom is fascinating. Okay, for over decades, Sonic has been having an enormous identity crisis. From happy-go-lucky weird heroes, intense gritty shadow, every game seems to go into a different direction. So then when Sonic Boom was announced to split the series up, I was happy. Hey, now we have an official Sonic split, we can finally figure out this identity problem. Like, make one Sonic series the serious one, the other the funny one. Or one for the old fans, one for the new fans. Or one for 2D, one for 3D. I don't know. Something so Sega can finally figure things out and experiment in a more controlled and easily identifiable structure. Instead, Sonic Boom made Identity Crisis even more spectacular. I mean, sure, the fact that Shadow and Lost World are supposed to be in the same universe and series is a bit weird, but at least each game individually has a clear identity. You look at this cover and you know exactly what you're getting into. Same here. Not Boom. Is Boom the 2D or the 3D one? The comedic or the serious one? For kids? Old fans? Which one is? Which one isn't? What exactly is it doing different from the other Sonic games, other than giving Sonic a trendy update? The only difference I can see is that Legacy Sonic has way more energy in both gameplay and attitude than Sonic Boom Sonic, who is much more laid back. So energy, not energy. As it's becoming more and more clear, Sonic Boom started as two different projects. Sonic Synergy or something, and Sonic Boom. One a quaint atmospheric adventure, one a goofy comedy. But then for whatever reason, Sega forced to merge the two together. So now we have a goofy, wacky cartoon with a gritty, grounded art style and everyone designed like a Studio Ghibli adventurer, and a quiet, atmospheric adventure mystery where the main characters constantly act like they're Krusty the Clown, and bounce and boink off ancient ruins like hyperactive rhinos, with music desperately trying to convince me this is mystic and awe-inspiring, resulting in tons and tons of confusion between the fans and even the creators. Especially Shattered Crystal is an extreme victim of this dual identity. I'm looking forward to discovering how Fire and Ice is going to deal with this. So, Sonic Boom can definitely be enjoyed, or not, but either way, it is just that there's a lot of unnecessary confusion and frustration coming from this identity problem. This is endlessly fascinating to me. Some time ago I made a video introducing a new perspective to look at the Sonic Boom characters, especially Knuckles, because I made a realization lately that there's a disconnection between what we're told what the characters are and what the characters actually are. Now in this video, I have no desire to judge or talk about whether this is a good thing or not. Sonic Boom has worth, has fans, it does amusing things. I don't want to dismiss its worth. It's just that recently I'm fascinating in trying to figure out which parts of Sonic Boom are Freiburger's Sonic Boom, and which parts are Frost's Sonic Synergy, Sonic Boom, or however the puzzle pieces fit together. So this is not about whether Sonic Boom's good or bad, this is about observing and, well, dissecting. So, for scientific amusement's sake or something, let's observe the character descriptions of the official Sonic Boom website. These character descriptions seem to have been written for Sonic Synergy, or Rise of Lyric now, the comedy action Sonic Boom. Which is why their descriptions make it sound like they're action heroes in an adventure and mostly have productive traits. Sonic's a thrill-seeker, Knuckles is a non-nonsense action man, Stick's the jungle bitch who grew a bond with her best friend Amy and is trying to fit in society now. Ah. Okay, let's consider the structure of the TV show. Episodes are 11 minutes long, and it's focused on character humor. It's about the characters, what they are, how they interact in their little goofy worlds. In other words, there's little plot and little action to waste time. Most of the screen time of each episode is based around the characters' personalities, putting Sonic and friends in crazy situations so we can watch their personalities clash and interact with the problem or characters of each episode. So them having defined personalities is important, because that's what fuels the humor and point of each episode. Not to mention there's almost no plot or action to waste time with anyway, so there's nothing from stopping the writers and firmly establishing everyone's personality in each episode so we're up to speed to understand what we're dealing with. It's written as like a sitcom, and if there's one thing sitcoms are good at, it's hammering down the character traits. Urkel is a goofy nerd. Al Bundy is a soul-crushed family man. Sheldon, an autistic self-obsessed scientist, Bart Simpson, a rebellious school kid, Charlie Sheen is Charlie Sheen, etc. So, 46 episodes have been out as I'm making this video, more than enough time to get the personalities the character's supposed to have out and established. So, let's look at the official character description from the official Sonic site and ask the question, is this Sonic Boom or Sonic Synergy? So, the official character descriptions. A couple of them are perfectly correct. Tails, Orbot, and Eggman, I all agree with. Best friend, prolific thinker, dreaming up inventions, sure. Closest thing Dr. Eggman has to friends, loyal, stiff-bought, polished demeanor, yeah. Dresses like a bad guy, desire to enslave the world, teaming up with an enemy, wants attention, respect, sounds right. So far, so good. Other character descriptions are spectacularly weird, though. Cubot is gruff and gritty, like a beat cup.
What? What? So, they're good or spectacularly off, but here's the ones right in that fascinating middle ground. Let's start with the one they got nearly right and work away from there. Amy! Natural leader and organizer who tends to take charge of everyone around her. She knows what they want. Combat hammer, history buff who had studies the legends and lore of the mysterious world. Notice how everything mentioned about her is positive. It's a skill, an asset. She's written like an action comedy character. The leader, the social enabler, strong fighter and history buff. Oh my! Great! Except Sonic Boom is a character comedy, so we don't want capable characters, we want morons. Good in combat, that's intact, mostly because Sonic Boom is rarely, if ever, interested in jokes about action sequences. They just want them to get over as quickly as possible. History buff? Correct, she is! And is brought up every time Sonic Boom delves into lore, ancient history, and adventure, which is, one episode. But hey, Amy is explaining the ancient giant, so character trait intact, I guess. Other than that, it's never brought up and we don't see her study or anything either. Her history buff personality, to me, seems only created as an excuse to why she's kidnapped in the video game. The TV show goes along with it, but has no interest in it, so while not contradicted, it's clearly a Sonic synergy thing. More relevant to the synergy versus boom way of thinking is our natural leader ability and knowing what people want. That's all described like a positive trait, a productive trait. Donatello's a smart guy, Mr. T the mechanic, Pearl the intellectual strategist, Amy the natural leader who knows what they want. Thing with Sonic Boom though is that the show usually only shows character traits when they have a punchline for it. And being primarily a character comedy, the punchline usually comes in the form of character personality traits being corrupted or off the rails. In other words, the only time Amy's ability to know what people want comes up is when she, well, doesn't. Either she's completely tone deaf,
when the saints are go marching in,
or she misses the point and makes people uncomfortable,
Somebody get her away from me!
emotionally manipulating the weak in her advantage,
You keep the money! Oh, and take ours too!
or she corrupts the entire gesture and being over-the-top selfish about it. Which is fine, good, comedy, humor, character humor, not a complaint. Point is, this is a perfect example of Sonic synergy logic versus Sonic Boom logic. She's described as a natural leader who knows what people want, which comes across like a positive and productive trait, while in reality in the show, it should be Amy considers herself a natural leader and is convinced she knows what people want. Wacky hijinks ensue. See the difference? However, to be fair, this is not always the case. There are a few episodes that play her straight. My fair Stixie, she generally helps out Styx, and the comedy comes from Styx taking it too far, instead of Amy being corrupted. She's also briefly seen taking charge in some other episodes, though not as often as she should. Hey Amy, I think Sonic and Tails are not capable of fighting dangerous robots at this stage. Maybe you should take charge? Amy? Amy? Okay, fine. Sent a sleep-deprived zombie to all the work. Comedy! Also, the Fuzzy Puppy episode was released when I was making this, and she's helping Eggman. So, hey, it's a mix. Not too bad. But we're about to get one. Knuckles! Well, Knuckles is well established, isn't he? He's a dumb muscle. That's made crystal clear. He presents himself as a brain-dead moron at every opportunity. Great. Only one problem. Being brain-dead stupid is not in his actual official character description. Oh. Now what the hell is his personality then? Well, punch first and keep punching until you need a punch break, kind of echidna. For Knuckles, the best solution to a problem is to smash it to pieces. He has a soft spot and loves nature, blah blah. It describes 3 personalities. Solves all problems with violence, he's hard-headed, and he's a nature guy. Fascinating. The only one of those 3 I agree with is that he's hard-headed. Yes, the TV show makes it clear it's very hard to reason with him. When he makes up his mind, there's no calling him down. 1/4 correct. Well done. Now the rest. So, Knuckles solving problems with violence. Sure, he fights robots during the action scenes, when all characters do that. Not quite what the description means. It means Knuckles needs to use violence when the others wouldn't, when it wouldn't be a logical solution, when he goes too far in using violence. Sonic Boom watchers point me to one episode where that happens. The only time this attitude is demonstrated was in the Shattered Crystal game, where Knuckles talks about, emphasis on talks about, smashing things. But in the TV show itself, nope. And then him being a nature guy, Bill Freeberger had mentioned this in the commentary track too. One of Knuckles' character elements is that he's one with nature. Combined with a punching attitude, I translated this into him being a tough mountain man. He's even the only Sonic Boom character who doesn't even have a house. He lives outside, on beaches or in caves. So, you know, mountain man. When in his comfort zone, he can survive the wild, and is a badass forest warrior. But when dealing with problems out of his comfort zone, like social conventions or technology, he freaks out and starts punching. Which is completely not what he's like on the show. Okay, so loves nature, how else to interpret this? Is he more like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove? Kronk, who's also a dim-witted musclehead, loves nature in that movie and is constantly distracted, excitedly noting down exotic animals during his travels, and he's often seen talking to squirrels and such. Again, nothing like Knuckles. So, how the heck does Knuckles' love for nature ever show up in the show? Despite Knuckles being the most utilized character, stealing the show and having several jokes at his expense in practically every episode, I think the nature thing is only brought up twice. In one episode, Sonic says,
I thought you love nature.
I do! That doesn't mean I know how to survive in it.
only to be immediately dismissed by Knuckles. It's like if Lisa Simpson's saxophone skills were only brought up in one Simpsons episode and it's just Lisa dismissing the instrument that's too hard to play. In another episode, we see Knuckles holding a birdhouse. He's holding a birdhouse. Yeah. So once again, a huge chunk of his supposed personality of this character only exists in the phantom Sonic Synergy universe that only exists in the minds of the creators. Or am I missing something? Styx. Most of the description seems alright. Force of nature, armed with handmade weapons at all times, speaks in a primitive dialect, wildcard that sees danger in all places. So far, so good. That covers the random screaming lunatic. But then, the positive traits that make her a comedy action character come in. Styx is new to the team, social skills, a genuine desire to get closer to her friends, Amy's BFF. She's supposed to be like Tarzan, a jungle person who's suddenly forced to interact with society. Question Sonic Boom watchers, how many jokes or mentions are ever made of her genuinely not knowing how technology or modern society works? I see Sonic and Eggman struggling with bureaucracy more often than Styx. Also, Styx has government conspiracies. Do Tarzan-like characters get a lot of exposure on alien and government conspiracies? Shouldn't she just operate on jungle logic? That leaderships are just alpha men or alpha women, either obey and worship them or challenge them? Point is, the writers never seem to make a connection between her hyperactive paranoia with actual jungle logic in making her scared of actual wild animal things would be. Instead replacing it with a more general random paranoia. So the jungle part of her personality goes largely unutilized, only coming across in the animations, how she sniffs people or poses, but rarely what goes on in her mind. We do see her inner element at home and in the jungle, but it doesn't really feel that much out of place with the rest of the Sonic Boom society, where, again, Knuckles also doesn't have a house, and everything looks pretty primitive anyway. Whenever she's not randomly screaming, she fits right in. Then her being new on a Sonic team. We never see the magical moment itself. Okay. Worse, we don't even see direct after effects either. I can't recall a single moment in the show where the main gang brings up how she's new. Everyone's already familiar with her habits. Everyone treats her like she's always been there. So why even bring up the fact she's new? Considering Sonic Boom is a completely new spin-off show unrelated to the other series anyway, making her a genuine, immediate fifth member of the gang works as well. It's not the same gang as the other series had anyway. Again, her being new seems to be a Sonic Synergy action comedy thing, where characters have to be learning to trust her more, and exploring her skills to be more useful for the team would have been neat potential plot points. But a comedy mostly interested in the gang being flawed and corrupted has no use for this. Genuine desire to get close to her friends. Is there a single episode where her being distant from the gang is brought up? That is, when Styx herself is aware and struggling with this. This implies that seeking their companionship is still a hurdle she's overcoming, and I can't recall a single episode that's not acting like that Styx just running up to them to scream randomly isn't a normal daily occurrence.
And then Amy being her best friend.
It's interesting how this is brought up as Styx's accomplishment, while to me this seems to be more of an Amy thing. Styx never shows any preference between one or the other, and screams at everyone equally. It's mostly Amy that constantly reaches out to Styx because that's her natural leadership, I know what you want personality coming through. Styx has a problem, Sonic and Knuckles don't care, Amy wants to help. Therefore, they get teamed up, but that's more of an Amy thing. Her social skills need a lot of work, true. Then again, everyone's social skill needs work. Styx doesn't know how to act during a party, sure, except neither do Sonic or Knuckles or Eggman, so whatever. It's that kind of comedy where the entire society is portrayed as incompetent off the rails, and Eggman and Sonic are shown to have just as much trouble interacting with the world as Styx, so really Styx's personality just comes down to being hyperactive and random, with a slight jungle flavor to it. So most of her description here seems a bit of a waste. Everything else contributed to her personality is missing or completely overshadowed by random! Sonic. Speed is a way of life. He runs fast, sure. Thinks fast. Well, I'll get to that. He even eats fast. He seems to eat regular speed to me, and trust me, I know, he shoves a burger in his face in practically every episode. Right, colorful description, whatever. He's always looking for the next thrill, the next challenge, the next triumph! Ha, coming back to that. Sonic doesn't back down or give up. because he has an unwavering belief and faith in himself and his ability. Yeah, so again, he's described as an action comedy character. He loves adventure, loves challenges, and shaking faith in himself. Great, except that isn't funny in a character comedy. So obviously those characteristics will be constantly compromised. Can have a nice emphasis and punchline to how flawed and off the rails the rest of the cast is if Sonic isn't there to roll his eyes, sigh, grunt frustrated, and grumble miserably all the time. Okay, the think fast thing acts on instinct. This is brought up in Tails' description again. He, Tails, doesn't run headlong into trouble, like Sonic. Instead, he plans out the best possible approach to take on a challenge. Yeah, where does this characteristics come from? Are they referring to Sonic Lost World? That's not canon with Boom. In Boom itself, it seems Sonic and Tails are pretty on the same line with each other, to me.
Thanks, Tails. Initiate speeding swing surprise.
This is really interesting bit, since this is the rare moment that the characters are actually written in a Sonic Boom way. Sonic is a moron who runs headfirst into trouble and Tails needs to bail him out, yet here, in the TV show, the characters are actually portrayed in a Sonic Synergy way, where Sonic and Tails are a pretty well-oiled team, and if view times there's a problem, it's actually a genuine plot point and not just a quick one-off joke. Speed is his way of life. Okay, question. So in a character comedy, where what your characters do in their free time, their downtime, is super important. When they're dealing with stories, they're story pawns, but when we get a glimpse of their lives without them being required to behave in a way, we see them at their most pure. So, how often do we see Sonic enjoy speed from his own choosing? Like, not using speed to solve a problem, actually using speed to enjoy himself. Because, most of the time I see Sonic enjoying his free time, he's always, well, sleeping. Or napping, or snoozing, slumbering, hibernating, nodding off, catching Z's, laying dormant, reposing, holding siesta. And when he finally wakes up, he still looks like this. Hey, look, nothing wrong with showing the hero sleeping, and some of those moments have a good reason. Just saying it's hard for me to buy this guy as action-adventure hyperactive teen who loves speed, and that's his life's mantra, when he's constantly laying in a coma. I mean, you don't see the rest of the gang sleeping this often. Sonic's pals are playing sports, he's napping. Amy's having a wacky project, Sonic's unconscious. Robots, combat, arena battles, explosions, action. Everyone is excited and cheering except Sonic, who looks like he's about to fall asleep. This is the guy living speed and craving challenge, huh? I suppose his severe sleeping disorder are a side effect of his unwavering belief and faith in himself. It's symbolic of his confidence. But instead of showing how much self-confidence he has with, showing him being confident, it's instead translated to him being miserable and bored by the rest of the world.
Thank goodness for Sonic's relation with Knuckles. The only time he gets a little more energetic. Get Knuckles with Sonic, and we finally get Sonic more excited and playing off of him. Well, half the time. The other half is still bored by Knuckles and about fell asleep. Still, about 1/3 of the time, we see Sonic in his leisure time playing sports against himself or doing spectacular things with Knuckles. That's great. So, hey, it's not too bad. Sadly, the bigger 2/3 of his spare time is spent either bored at the local McDonald's or nap time. And seriously, who spends so much time napping during the day besides toddlers and old people?
Always looking for a thrill, the next challenge. Okay, then why, every time Sonic's confronted with a challenge, is he grumpy, irritated, bored, tired, frustrated, and agitated? Here's Legacy Sonic, challenged by a new opponent.
Oh, new competition. Time to rock and roll. I'm the fastest thing in the universe, and today I'm gonna prove it. Ha!
Boom Sonic, on the other hand,
Yeah, he feels very responsible.
Whoa, we gotta stop those jerks. Uh-oh, this isn't good. I know you're up to something, Egghead.
So, Sonic's responsible. That's good. But does he actually enjoy heroing and challenge? I don't know, he never shows much of an emotion. And when he does show an emotion when being challenged, it's always...
This is a really bad time, Egghead. What? He's riding a skateboard. How is that impressive? So, Eggman, what makes you think this stunt will go any better than the last dozen or so you've pulled?
Why are you bothering Eggman? No Knuckles, no Eggman. Yeah, there's something about Sonic's demeanor that doesn't quite sell me on the idea that this is a guy who likes a good challenge. I mean, heck, look at Sonic in the Rise of Lyric, the closest we get to Sonic Synergy, and look at how Sonic reacts when Lyric shows up. Look, a smile, he's amused, he's interested, popping himself up. Wow, show me TV show Sonic who ever acts like this. This is endlessly amusing to me. They have these new character designs. Kids can't understand how this Knuckles is strong. Give him more muscles. Yeah, great. And then you make him weaker like Paper Issue in the show anyways. So why did you make him buff again? Sonic needs to look adventurous. Ruffed quills, scarf, bandages to signify speed. Everything about him must scream adventure. Boom! Look at him. Yeah! And then you constantly make him look like this. Your desire to make this guy look like adventure incarnate isn't quite working. Maybe give him a bigger scarf and a hat. No, he still reminds me of my grandpa. There's one episode that tries to go for his desire for adventure, and that's Aim Low, where Eggman gives up and Sonic goes mad. Except even there he looks more like what my grandpa was like when he was with retirement. Like becoming paranoid of having the freedom he didn't have at his work, or forcefully trying to help people in order to desperately have something to do, and just annoying them. This episode is playing up Sonic's thirst for battling Eggman more like a habit, like he's forced to quit smoking, than him genuinely missing something he enjoys. But then, in one episode, Sonic plays up his bored demeanor as something sexy and cool.
What's up?
Would you like to accompany me to a movie and or show?
Not sure I have the time.
Hey babe, I don't care. So it's meant to be cool, and I get it. I know where it's coming from. Whenever people explain to me why they like Sonic in Lost World, it's because this Sonic doesn't give a shit. Other Sonic is always bland and nice and helpful and excited like a puppy. How lame. This is the real Sonic, who don't take no shit. So that's where the sleep comes from, I guess. That Sonic sleeping is the ultimate rebellion against caring about anything. He don't care for your problems. He don't care about Eggman. He's too good for this world. Like, alright, maybe that is the new cool. It's not like a stupid fat white nerd from Holland like me knows anything about cool. Just saying, at least stop trying to sell him as an adventure hero action guy, because that's a little silly. So, Sonic Boom. Interesting show, plenty to like in Sonic Boom, but man, is it confusing in its identity. Do we know exactly what a Sonic Boom is? Do the creators know this? It was introduced to us like a big adventure story, and they keep saying it's smart and sophisticated. Here's the thing, I think the writers of Sonic Boom genuinely think and intend the characters to be exactly as how they're written on the website. I bet they're convinced this is all correct. However, here's what it gets confusing. The Sonic Boom sense of humor is all about contrasting humor. It's about putting the characters out of their comfort zone. A fish out of water story. Except the writers don't have the patience or discipline to establish what fish are, or what water is, or how they relate. They just want to jump straight to the fish out of water portion and assume you learn what fish and water is from this situation. As explained with Amy, her personality traits are only introduced and utilized on the show when they make a joke out of it. And the only jokes they make is making character traits go off the rails, to be flipped upside down. As a result, the show only introduces who the characters are during jokes where the characters are not acting natural but are in extreme situations. But because the extreme situations is the only thing we get, those extreme situations become the normal situations, like Sonic and Eggman's relation. Every time the writers want to highlight what their relation together is, it's by putting them together in extreme circumstances where they are friends. But this always happens until them being friends is the natural way of being. In other words, Sonic Boom is a fish out of water story, except one where fish already pretty much live outside of the water by default, and water is just part of the air. So you wonder what even the point is. So now a second season is coming. My advice would be make more jokes celebrating who the characters are instead of what they aren't. Moments where Eggman is a threat or where Amy's helpful do exist, but are so mellow and underwhelming that I don't even remember them existing, and it's only the moments out of character that ends up defining who they are. The framework is set up like an action-adventure story, which is then reworked into a comedy, but a comedy that is such a fixation on making characters act like they aren't, that the aren't becomes the character and they become parodies of a phantom character that doesn't exist. In other words, identity crisis. Most Sonic Boom lovers like the show because of its energy and because it's random, and yeah, the huge identity crisis, if anything, only strengthens the randomness of the show. But it's no mystery to me why so many people have no idea what to do with this Sonic Boom and where it all fits. It's such a wonderful convoluted mix of several ideas meshed into one that is just endlessly fascinating to dissect. So, confusion. I've been nitpicking for a while now, mostly out of scientific curiosity or something, but all this together is leading to a real problem. Trust issues, fueled by the lack of identity. Look, Sonic Boom the TV show. It's fun, it's innocent, it has energy, goofy humor, occasionally I laugh. Great! Sell it as a fun, innocent comedy. Telling me it's a silly comedy made by writers and voice actors goofing off and having the time of their lives, and I couldn't say anything against it. That's what it is. Yeah, great. But you keep selling it to me as a genuine adventure story, even if it's a comedic one, and I raise an eyebrow.
and looked at a bunch of kids on the internet make that mistake. Whatever, everyone says stupid things, including me, and I can't blame them. It is confusing to keep up with this insane derailed roller coaster ride that is Sonic, but even when the official sources from the people working on a project start selling this as a real adventure, like the Fire and Ice interview, we want to keep what's going on in the animated series, the adventure and exploration. Look, I figured at first that you were confused because Rise of Lyric and a TV show were only recently mashed together and nobody knew what the overall Sonic Boom universe was going to be like. But even now that the games have almost lost their credit and it's entirely the TV show holding the Boom franchise up, even now you poor souls are still convinced this is a genuine adventure and exploration show? Did the Sonic Boom gang ever explore anything in the show beyond Man Burger's menu and their own stupidity? Even when they accidentally tumble into an ancient ruin, ancient creature, or secret society, they don't show any curiosity or excitement, they just want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. I can't even imagine this Sonic ever picking up a treasure map or seeking out adventure on his own. The only thing he wants is a burger and a nap, and occasionally humiliate Knuckles, I suppose. Oh, and listen to that Sonic Dash 2 Boom theme music!
Bring it on!
Hey guys, listen, I love this 90s punk rock music, but have you seen the episode Blue Envy? They firmly established that the 90s are lame and horrible and Sonic hates it. I don't think this incarnation of Sonic appreciates 90s punk rock music. And I wouldn't nitpick or be an asshole about these little inconsistencies so much if Sonic wasn't already suffering a huge identity crisis. Sonic Lost Worlds already got everyone concerned where Sonic was going. So this enormous heap of confusion is seriously destroying customer trust and creating a toxic environment. After all, feedback to Sega is near impossible now. Even if, as a customer, I could convince Sega I desire a break from the comedy and prefer a more straightforward, adventure-focused installment again, the suits will just shrug and push Sonic Boom back at me.
Adventure? Oh, you mean this?
Now, we're getting ready for Sonic's big 25th anniversary. His big 2016 game we're all waiting for, and Sega's keeping quiet, building hype. Now, this would be a very smart thing to do if, well, Sonic, like, Generations was the last Sonic game and worked as a foundation for the future. Sonic Generations did an attempt of cherry-picking the best aspects of each Sonic era and combining them in one explosive mix. It wasn't perfect, but man, were we on the right track. Balance the gameplay more, make it bigger, more epic, and we got something. Yeah! Sure, the story is garbage. They let Pontic and Graf write to celebrate Sonic's big birthday. That's like getting married and they get the church janitor to make the speech instead of friends and family who actually know you. But whatever. Generations can be salvaged, enjoyed, improved. Build hype from that. But alas, that's not the situation we're in. Instead, the last games we had were the Boom games, made by two separate game companies, both equally surprised and baffled that Sonic fans would play Sonic games and people like Speed in their Sonic games. Well, how about that? So, with Lost World going off into Super Care Bear Mario Land, Sonic Boom games not being consistent with their own universe, and Sonic Runners that's juggling Sonic's history together so randomly that I'm waiting for Mephiles and Maria's decomposing corpse showing up as the Easter Bunny next spring, the TV show is being the most solid and stable Sonic element right now. And as I demonstrated in this video, even that's a very weak compliment. Sonic's suffering a serious identity crisis, where nobody knows what the guy's personality is, or his gameplay, or anything. And just like when I go to my grandma's 80s birthday, I want to see Grandma on stage and not a random drunk lady the janitor found in an alley, I sure as hell want to celebrate Sonic's 25th anniversary next year and not a brand new mental disability that whatever discount Pontic or Frost clown Sega dragged from the streets for the next game considers to be hip and cool for the kids. So hey Sega, it's cute that you're trying to build hype, but keep in mind, this is the foundation of your hype. This is the confusing environment, the toxic and disorientating mist of bitterness Sonic fans are in right now that you're using as a springboard to hype for his most important game of the decade. This is the fertilized ground you're planting your seed in. This is the muddy water you're tenderizing your meat in. This is the company you bought stocks in. And just when I'm trying to figure out what Sonic Boom is, here you are pushing Sonic Lost World back in our attention. Hey, remember this game? Why, yes I do, thanks for reminding me. Hate to be the cynical, but, you know, just saying the hype and excitement you're building might be a little unstable. At least Sega's more interactive with fans and playing around to get us excited. Weber's amazing character tournament. Hey, vote for your favorite character and they may reappear in the next game. Want to vote for your buddy Knuckles? Yeah, great Weber, but am I voting for Knuckles Emerald Guardian, the Echidna? Or Knuckles Why the fuck am I even here, the Echidna? Or Knuckles I like to smash, the Echidna? Or Bob Durr, the Clown? Vote for shit out the edge. Yeah, great. So is that a complex Shadow struggling with his identity? Is that internet meme Shadow or whatever the fuck this asshole's supposed to be? I don't know who these characters are anymore.
Do you people even know who these characters are anymore? Is next year's anniversary going to be like a dementia party where we all stare confused at all the characters, wondering if we like suffer amnesia or are delusional? What I'm trying to say, Sega, is that I would really appreciate it if you would figure out what the heck Sonic is at this point. Decide whether we should be celebrating our hero next year, or celebrating a brand new flavor of mental instability dreamed up by a delusional discount Pontica free burger, or worse, the actual full price Pontica free burger. Please decide and tell us, if only so I know who to actually address on Sonic's birthday cards next year. Cheers! So, you people looking forward to Sonic Lost World level mods? More console ports for the PC? Agree or disagree with the official Sonic Boom character descriptions? Got a long list of episodes ready to prove me wrong? Think the Sonic characters are well defined and crystal clear? Call me an idiot in the comments and I'll let you know if I change my mind. Till next time.